Anatimandaśya Jnansa Shlaka Shakshamilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah. So I all recommend you to follow this hermeneutics course. I've been a member of the pilot course and we have improved it very much. I'm also a member of the Shastric Advisory Council and I feel everyone who follows this course will certainly benefit, especially in the preaching, to make your preaching really authorized, broad-minded. Srila Prabhupada wanted to study our scriptures from different angles of view. There are many controversial statements in the books of Srila Prabhupada, and which can be understood from different angles of vision, which are all bona fide, but the hermeneutics course gives you a system to understand and to understand what are these bona fide views, how they are bona fide, and also how we can understand the scriptures in an authorized way. What's the process to go through that, and in a reflection. It is very revealing. And in the pilot course we had also 8 sessions, and the preparation for each session is 1 hour. It's a little homework, but it's very nice, and I found also the course was a very nice atmosphere, then very nice sangam. So I really, especially when you are preaching, even if you are not preaching and attracted to study, that it will be very beneficial. So please subscribe. So today we will continue now with the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And we will hear the Paribas Sutra verse today, explaining how Krishna is the source of all incarnations. We were at text 24. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 24. Tata kalo sampravrite samohaya suradvisam buddho nam nanjana sutta kikakte subhavishyati. Then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful tastes. So here Buddha is appearing, that he deluded the atheists. Because Buddha said, don't follow God, don't follow the Vedas, don't follow God. Reject God, reject the Vedas, he said. You just follow me. You just follow me. What does Srila Prabhupada write in the purpose? He writes, he deluded the atheists because such atheists who followed his principle did not believe in God, but they kept their absolute faith in Lord Buddha, who himself was the incarnation of God. So that Buddha is God, he said, follow me. So he made them faithful to God in that way. They didn't know that he was God. He said, just follow me. Then he preached ahimsa, sub-religious principles, we can say. So that is what Srila Prabhupada wrote in the purport, Buddha made the faithless faithful to him. So he made also the faithful to him. So this is very similar. Of course, in Kali Yuga, everyone is faithless. People today are teaching, have faith in yourself. You have the power to change everything. So this is where faith has to be applied in Kali Yuga. So Srila Prabhupada said, he replied to these philosophies, those who say yes, you have the power to change everything, that they believe in themselves, but Srila Prabhupada said, no, you must serve Krishna. And because of his love and dedication, everyone followed Prabhupada. In that sense, he was like Buddha. Srila Prabhupada makes another point in the purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is written 5,000 years ago, prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga. So, Lord Buddha appeared much later than that. So, this is one of the predictions. So, the last verse of the word of the verse is Bhavishyati. He will appear. So, let's see what Narayan Kavacha says about Lord Buddha. 6.8.19. May Lord Buddha Dev protect me from activities opposed to Vedic principles and from laziness that causes one to madly forget the principles of knowledge and ritualistic action. It's very useful in our devotional service that we are not deviating from the Vedic principles, from the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, so he will protect us from the madness and laziness in Kali Yuga also. So many of these incarnations are protecting us from falling down from our devotional service. Buddha is one of them, so that we don't become lazy or mad, as nearly everyone in this age. 25. Artasa yoga santyayam dasu prayesu rajusu janita vishnu jasaso namna kalkir jagatpati. Thereafter, at the conjunction of the two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu, Yasa. At this time, the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. Here, so we are in Kali Yuga, but it's best we don't wait until Kalki comes. So at that time, devotees will be hunted by other people. It would not be a very good time for devotees to live. Lord Kalki appears in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam. He is riding on his horse. At that time, he will not preach. His mercy will be to kill everyone. Everyone will be on the level of animals, and animals cannot hear the Vedas. So Narayan Kavacha says, 6.8.19, may Kalki Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears as an incarnation to protect religious principles, protect me from the dirt of the age of Kali. So he will help us in this age of Kali Yuga. Now we will read verse 26. Avatara yasankyeya hare sattva nider vijja yata vidasina kulya sarasasya sahasrasa. O Brahmins, The incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. So, Srila Prabhupada lists some of many incarnations of the Lord. So many that so Lord Krishna comes as one of these incarnations simply because we are suffering. He's coming again and again and again to remind us, please come back to Godhead. There are many Lila incarnations that have been listed here in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, what incarnations have not been listed until now? You can write in the chat if you know an incarnation that has not been listed. That which incarnations did we not hear about in this list in the 3rd chapter? And that's Hayagriva, Hamsi, Kunta Sarvabhauma, Vivakshena, Dharmachetu, Sudam, Yogeshvar, Piradbhanu, Hamsa, the Yuga avatars, Lord Chaitanya, Vibhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, that's a whole list. That so many. Hamsa avatar, the Swan incarnation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Hayagriva. So, but we will see Lord Chaitanya. He will be quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam later by Prahlad Maharaj as an incarnation of Kali Yuga. And Lord Chaitanya is also mentioned in the 11th canto and the 12th canto, that you will hear later. So, now we come text 27. Risayo manavadeva manuputra mahayasa kala sarve harireva sapraja pataya smita. All the rishis, manus, demigods, and the sons of Mani, who are especially powerful, are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapatis. Purport. Those who are comparatively less powerful are called Vibhuti, opulence, yes. And those who are comparatively more powerful are called Avesha incarnations. So, Srila Prabhupada lecturing on this verse, he said, the word man comes from Manu. We are all the sons of Manu. We are all human beings, mankind. So in these human beings there are two dynasties, the Surya and the Soma dynasty, both described in the 9th canto. All the human beings come from these dynasties, which are described in canto 3 and to 9. And now we come to text 28. The text 28 is called the Emperor verse of the Bhagavatam. Emperor verse, that very important verse, and we will discuss this now more thoroughly. That text 28, it's a memorization verse also. Ete Shamsakala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swam Indra Rivyakulam Lokam Ritayanti Yuge Yuge. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, but Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. So this is the Emperor verse. According to Burijan, this verse, Burijan Prabhu said, this is the Mahavakya, the most conclusive statement of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Mahavakya. This rules all kings, it rules all the verses, because Krishna is distinguished as the Supreme Personality of Godhead here. So, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there we have Krishna Das Kaviraj. He analyzes the Sanskrit of this verse, and he proves that it would be fallacious to assume that someone else is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only Krishna. One could say he's in the list also. He's one of the incarnations. No, this verse disproves that theory, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, it takes the first word, ete, all these, and then all these, and then amsa kala. All the parts and plenary parts are coming from the Supreme Person. They are coming from him. So then you have Krishna's tu. The word tu or but, this indicates a change of subject. But Krishna is Svayam. Bhagavan Svayam is the original personality of Godhead. Krishna is in a different category. This is what his tu means. He is not the same as the Amsakala. He is in a different category. His category is Bhagavan Svayam. That is his category. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that all these incarnations display limited powers of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a light ball. If the bulb gives some limited amount of power, that does not mean that a powerhouse can only deliver that amount of power. No, if you go to the source, the powerhouse, you can see that it can supply power to huge factories with hundreds of lights. Incarnations show only enough power needed for that time. So the example is Lord Ram. He married only one wife, and when he was present, the sage of Dandakaranya desired to have Lord Ram in the future as their husband. But Lord Ram was very faithful, and he had only one wife, Sita. So they had to take birth in Vrindavan and enjoy with the Lord. When Krishna came, he manifested the full powers of God. Whatever opulence, whatever power we see in other incarnations is manifested fully in Lord Krishna. This verse is the Paribas Sutra. According to Jiva Goswami, this verse gives the essence of the key of the entire Shastra in condensed form. So sutra means concise and must be at the beginning of a book. Therefore, this is the Paribas Sutra. We mentioned also that verse 1 to 11. You remember? Vedantastas tutavida advayam jnanam advayam Prameti Paramatmati Bhagavaniti Sapyate. Yeah, I miss a word in the beginning. But this is describing Paramatma, Bhagavan, and Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. It's also a Paribasa Sutra. But this Paribasa Sutra, Bhurijan Prabhu is saying, is the Paribasa Sutra of all the verses that speaks on the absolute truth. But this verse of 1.3.25 here is the Emperor verse. It's the Paribasa Sutra for all the verses. All the verses have to be understood through that knowledge. Therefore, it's the Emperor verse. So 1 to 11, ja, verdankt dat to stavit that this verse is not specific, but 1:3:28, this verse today here mentioned specifically who is this absolute truth. It's Krishna. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Svayam. Shiv Goswami, he comments on Srimad Bhagavatam in his Satsandarbhas. He defeats all arguments against the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after defeating all arguments from other philosophies, it takes the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that it takes verses of Srimad Bhagavatam that other people misuse. Like the impersonalists sometimes take the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam and misuse them to say that Brahman is supreme and not Krishna. And Shiva Goswami takes this verse and shows how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in India, many people say that Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. In the 10th canto, Vishnu stole the sons of a Brahmin. So, the Lord never disregards the Brahmins, but in this case he was so eager to see Krishna and Arjuna that he stole the sons of a Brahmin. So why would he be so eager to see Krishna? So Krishna and Arjuna came to give darshan to Mahavishnu. And in the huge purport of this verse, Srila Prabhupada explains how Krishna is the original form, and when he manifests the other incarnations, he displays parts of his opulences. So Srila Prabhupada groups the incarnations. Their opulences are going beyond this. Then opulences are going beyond the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. Yeah. So Lord Parasuram and Lord Nrsimhadev. What's their purpose? What's their opulence of Krishna that they represent? So it means that all the opulences of these incarnations are parts of the opulence of Krishna. That's the point made here. So their opulences, I was wrong here, their opulences are not going beyond the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. They are part of it. So Parasuram and Lord Nrsimhadev, they represent the opulence of Krishna to kill the disobedient, to kill the demons. And Narada Muni, Vara and Buddha, he says they are instilling faith in the faithless. Of course we can see other characteristics in Varadev and Narada Muni, but Narada Muni, Varadev and Buddha, they are instilling faith in the faithless. Interesting. And Ram and Dhanvantari, the opulence they have is fame, part of the opulence of Krishna. Ram is so famous all over India. That is the most famous. And what do Balaram, Mohini and Vamandev have in common? That's beauty. What does have Dattatreya, Matsya, the Kumaras, Kapila in common? It's knowledge. And Narayana and Rishi, they represent austerity, renunciations. Those are all parts of the opulences of Krishna. In this way we can understand how the incarnations show some of Krishna's opulences, but Krishna has all of them. All of them. Knowledge, fame, beauty, renunciation, power, health. Krishna is all of them. So That is why he's called Svayam. He's the original of all powers and opulences. Then you have Indrari, Vyakulam Lokam, Briddayante, Yuge, Yuge. It comes whenever Indra is in trouble with the management. When there was trouble in the beginning of Kali Yuga, all the demigods went to Lord Brahma because the earth was in trouble. The earth was crying and they went to Brahma. And then Lord Brahma meditating on Vishnu, and Vishnu said, "Don't worry, I'm coming." So Krishna comes and he helped. Therefore we worship Krishna, because he is the supreme of all incarnations. His beauty, knowledge, renunciation, and so on, they are all full in him. Now text 29, that's the next verse, is called the Phala Shruti verse. What will be the result of hearing these chapters on incarnations? Let's hear text 29. Janmagoyam bhagavato yaitad prayato nara sayam pratarhinam bhaktya dukkhamatvimuchyate. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Relief from all miseries of life. You get relief of all miseries. So there is a mystery here. It says, Janma Guyam Bhagavato, that although Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the source of everything. It takes his birth, it takes his Janma. So this is mysterious. How can someone who is birthless, the source of everything, take birth? Therefore it's called Guyam, mysterious. Kunti Devi says, Antar Bhayar Avashtitam, you are within and without. Bhagavatam 1.8.15, you will hear in a few weeks. God is within yourself, Srila Prabhupada said. You are outside and inside, but still nobody can see you. Queen Kunti said you are like an actor who is disguised. Krishna is disguised. Nobody can recognize him. So in the purports, five lines down, Srila Prabhupada describes how to discover this mystery. That he writes, therefore, the birth and activities of the Lord as manifested by him for the welfare of the people in general are not ordinary. They are mysterious, and only by those who carefully try to go deep into the matter by spiritual devotion is the mystery discovered. The swan gets liberation from material bondage. So, spiritual devotion. Of course, we have heard in the fourth chapter of the Gita, Janma karmas medem yam yo me veti tatvata jaktvadeham punarjanma naitama meti saryana. So tatvata means it's not a superficial thing. We need to go deep into the tattva. Then we can understand the birth and activities of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada in the purport gives us another result of chanting this chapter. So we have the Shrutival given by Sutta Goswami, but here Srila Prabhupada gives us another Shrutival in the purport. Let's hear it. in the purport, then one gets liberation from material bondage. It is advised, therefore, that one who simply recites this chapter of the Bhagavatam, describing the appearance of the Lord in different incarnations in sincerity and devotion, can have insight into the birth and activities of the Lord. So that's another Shruti file given by Srila Prabhupada. Whenever you have trouble in understanding this mystery, then chant this chapter. This is Srila Prabhupada's benediction. Who is speaking? That please mute. That's so. This is Srila Prabhupada's benediction. Further in the purport. The very word vimukti, or liberation, indicates that the Lord's birth and activities are all transcendental. Otherwise, simply by reciting them, how could one attain liberation? Therefore, they are therefore mysterious, and those who do not follow the prescribed regulation of devotional service are not entitled to enter into the mystery of his births and activities. Kuyam confidential. So before the Lord recited the verses of the Chatur Sloki of the Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma, he said, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.31, Sarahasyam, that Sarahasyam means with devotional service. Sarahasyam means this is very confidential knowledge. There is a mystery. So the Lord's activities are mysterious because they are transcendental. They are beyond our understanding. They are in another dimension, we can say, another dimension. We cannot understand Janma Guyamam Bhagavato, is said in this verse. Srila Prabhupada reveals what is this mystery in his lecture on this verse. Actually, Janma means God's appearance. Srila Prabhupada said, God is appearing every moment, everywhere. Every moment, everywhere. So how is this possible? Generally, we understand that Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, but Srila Prabhupada writes, is appearing every moment, everywhere. How is that possible? How can he be appearing every moment, everywhere? That someone can answer that question? Okay.
Because, can I?
Yes, sure.
Maybe because Krishna, because when every second a new universe is being created through the breathing of Mahavishnu, so therefore every second there is a new appearance of Krishna in a new universe. That's how I understood it. So he always appears and disappears, and it goes on eternally.
Also,
yeah. And of course, 1 second of Mahavishnu is quite long for us. That one breathing of Mahavishnu, one exhalation, one in exhalation, and Brahma is gone. His life is finished. 311 trillion years. But yes, it's a valid point. That it's a long time for us, but he's there in that second. And we are in that second. So everyone, someone else?
yes, Maharaj, can I say a few words?
Yeah.
So, I heard, read in BTG long time ago, I think Rupa Goswami or Sanatan Goswami had mentioned that Krishna's appearance is eternal. And for example, he's eating butter. So that eternally happening, sometimes in this universe, and then at the same time, in the next moment in another universe, another universe. So his pastimes are happening all the time in different universes, different places. Like 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. is happening all the time on planet Earth. So that's the example that has been given.
Okay, thank you. Very good point. That some other comments?
Yes, I was saying the same thing about Ajahn Prabhu's the meaning of the word Radha Krishna Nitya Lila. Nitya means it's permanent. It's not just eternal, but it's permanent. Everything is happening all the time.
Happening all the time. Okay. Any other
So
points?
Different.
Thank you, Advaita Krishna. Yes, Vaidyanatha.
Yeah, he's already there as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, as Paramatma, within the hearts of all the living entities and in the atom. So you can just simply increase his size and he's there as an avatar,
Okay. That it can appear from the pillar, like Nrsimhadev, yes. Other comments? And then I will read what in the previous session what devotees gave, the answers they gave. Aprakat Lila is in the devotee's heart, not only in another universe. That was a nice point. The Lord is there wherever devotee chant his glories. And then the next point that has been made here. Krishna's pastimes are going on right now in some universe. And we may go there after this life, hopefully. So, but Srila Prabhupada, when he was in a lecture, when he was making that point, he was not referring to this. Srila Prabhupada said he was referring to the deity, as he was giving class in front of Radha Krishna. So we see the deity as Krishna and will come to give his mercy. But others will see him as stone. So Srila Prabhupada said, actually, he's here. We can see him, but we have to become purified, he said. So people do not want to see God. If you show them the deity, they will say, this is not. Yaita prayato nara. That's the second line of the verse here. Prayata. We are endeavoring in our Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada says we are endeavoring. We are not yet perfect. So Srila Prabhupada interprets that any person endeavoring to understand Krishna through Shastra and through devotional service, he will get his result. He will get free from miseries and he will get insight. Free from miseries and get insight. When Srila Prabhupada was lecturing of 4.9 Bhagavad Gita, Janmakarma Samedivyam, that he said, if you know and understand Krishna's pastimes, then you will not take birth again. So Srila Prabhupada said that if you just try to understand Krishna's birth and activities, then you will become liberated. So you just try to understand, he said. And when do we chant some? So next line of the Sanskrit, Sayam Pratar Hrinan Bhaktya. That in the morning and the evening we chant. Srila Prabhupada said, when done with sincerity and devotion, bhakti, then you will get the result. Sayam Pratar Hrinan Bhaktya, with devotion. So we just finished this list of incarnations. So we will continue with text 30. Text 30. Etarupam bhagavato Yarupasya sit atmana Mayagunar virashitam mahadadbir atmani. The conception of the Virat, the universal form of the Lord, as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form, but actually the Lord has no material form. So we heard now the list of all Krishna's incarnations, and we learned that Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Now we will deal with the Vishvarup, and who can understand the form of the Lord, and who cannot understand the form of the Lord. And also about the Lord's energies. We will hear a very nice description. And at the end of the chapter we will hear about the incarnation that we are now presently be worshipping. We will finish the chapter answering the last questions of the sages. So this Vishvarut form is very much loved by the impersonalists. That it is good for them to meditate on the Vishvarup. By such meditation, then you get out of their impersonal conception, and they can gradually come to the personal conception of the Lord. So that is the whole purpose of the Vishvarup meditation. It is for the neophytes who have no conception of the Lord. That's the purpose. In a lecture, Srila Prabhupada explains that this Vishvarup is actually the eternal body of Krishna. When Krishna left this universe, he left beyond the material body, and that body is the Vishvarup. Of course, it's also to delude the atheist that he performed that pastime. Srila Prabhupada explained that just as the soul within the body, we have an external covering. So in the same way, the Vishvarup is the covering of the Paramatma, we can say. In Srila Prabhupada 111, the first verse in the purport, and it says that the material creation is the external body of the Lord. So this is what we are studying now in a little more detail. Srila Prabhupada explains, just like our heart is beating, our blood is going to the veins and digesting is working. In the Vishvarup, the sun is rising, the eyes are opening, and the veins, the rivers are flowing, and the trees are growing, the hairs on the body are standing. Now, there is a very nice explanation. If you go back to the third verse in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives a nice explanation of the Vishvarup. This in the purport of 133 of this chapter. It said there, as stated above, the Lord extends his potency in the form of the Mahatattva, which includes all material ingredients. The extension of power by the Lord and the Lord himself are in one sense, but at the same time the Mahatattva is different from the Lord. Therefore the potency of the Lord and the Lord are simultaneously different and non-different. The conception of the Virat Rup, especially for the impersonalists, is thus non-different from the eternal form of the Lord. So my question to you is, we will discuss it in two parts. That was I've yes, three questions for you, but we will start with the first one. And the first one, how is the Vishvarup one with the Lord? And the second question will how is it different from Krishna? But first, how is the Vishvarup one with the Lord? Someone wants to answer that. How it is one with the Lord. So, you are not convinced that it is one with the Lord? It's one and different. Ashintya Beda Beda Tattva. How it is one? The Vishvarup form and the Lord.
One is because it's an energy of the Lord, so therefore in that sense it is one with the Lord.
Very good. That's perfect answer. But there are other answers also.
Maharaj, since everything emanates from the Lord, and even if we think that it is imaginary, so the mind that is imagining it is also coming from the Lord.
It
So in
comes,
that
yeah,
way, it is similar with the Lord.
yeah, because it comes from the Lord, and the Lord is everything, so it must be the Lord also. That's good. Any other viewpoint? That let's make another point. Because for Krishna there is no material energy, and therefore it is one. Material energy means something that is covering the Lord, but it cannot be covered from himself. But for us there is material energy. Our vision is covered. So he's covering himself from our vision to the material energy. That he's covering himself. Yeah. But now, how is it different from the Lord? The other question. So, how is the Vishvarup different from the Lord?
Maharaj, because it is not the original Swarup of the Lord.
Yeah.
He he uses Vishwarup form to convince Arjun and devotees, but originally he is Krishna, therefore he is different from him.
Okay, that's also in Bhagavad Gita that it says I'm aloof from the creation, I'm different, I'm not in them, that I'm separate. Yes. Other points?
Yeah, 9.4 Maharaj, he just said. Maya Dakshina Bhagavad Gita 9.4, he says, Maya tatamidam sarvam. Na chaham teshu avasthita, I am not situated in it.
Teshu avasthita, yeah. Yes. How it is other ways that it's different from the Lord?
It is not an eternal form of the Lord.
It is a temporary manifestation, right? It's a temporary manifestation. And further, it is imaginary, Srila Prabhupada says. Imaginary. And it is, and Krishna is beyond, is not limited to one form. It's one of his forms. That's okay. But we said how it is imaginary. So, how is it imaginary?
Because it's existing in the conception of the impersonalist or the person who's looking at it. And it is it's just like and it's material in that sense also, and it is spiritual if you put Krishna in it, because it's Krishna's energy, and you think it's Krishna, then it's Krishna. But if you think it's not Krishna, it's not Krishna. Because what's the difference between the material and spiritual? You take Krishna out, everything is material. So if you think it's Krishna, then it's Krishna. So it's imaginary. It's from a very individualistic point of view.
Yeah, but at the same time it's Krishna also. That's interesting. But let's read the purport. Srila Prabhupada gives the answer indirectly in the purport. Let's
Okay.
hear. Purport 1.3.30. Srila Prabhupada explains how the Vishvarup is imaginary. We will hear now from Prabhupada. End of the purport. The material conception of the Lord is not counted in the list of his actual forms. As Paramatma or Supersoul, the Lord is within each and every material form, even within the atoms, but the outward form is but an imagination, he says. Both the Lord and the living being. Both for the Lord and the living being, it's an imagination. The present forms of the conditioned souls are also not factual. We are imagining that we are this body. It's also imagination. The conclusion is that the material conception of the body of the Lord as Virat is imaginary. That both the Lord and the living beings are living spirits and have original spiritual bodies. So not only is the Vishvarup imaginary, also our bodies are imaginary. Although it was imaginary, Arjuna could see it. So with this we will have a pause of 10 minutes now, and then we have some time for questions. So we resume again at, let's say, it's now, yeah, let's say 10 past 7. 50 minutes pause, and then we go for the questions. So Hare Krishna, we are back. First question by Advaita Krishna Prabhu, please.
Maharaj, I've been reading and rereading this thing, and it's an interesting concept you just noted. And he says, as Paramatma or Super Soul, the Lord is within each and every material form, even within the atoms, but the outer material form is but an imagination, both for the Lord and for the living beings. So my confusion or my question is this, Maharaj. Does that mean that Paramatmas, or Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karunadakshay Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu, being only have a mission and a purpose in the material world, their form is also imaginary?
No, there's not. Their form is spiritual, but they are instrumental in the material energy. That no, their form is spiritual. They are, yeah.
But they have no function in the spiritual world.
The Purusha avatars, no.
They don't have function in.
Their purpose is to facilitate creation in the material world. That's why they expand.
So when there is no creation, there is no function of the Purusha avatars.
Yeah, but
they're not imaginary.
They are not imaginary, not at all. But the point is here is there. The material energy is not existing for Krishna. It's not existing for Narada Muni either. He walks to the wall, no problem. That Ravan tried to kill him with his sword, but it went to his body. Nothing happened. So the material energy does not exist for Narada Muni. Does not mean that it does not exist, but it does not exist for him. That it has no influence of him.
Okay.
That like if we are leaving our body, then the subtle body, it goes to the wall. earth, water, air, fire, ether does not exist for the subtle body which is finer than
Yes.
these elements. Intelligent false ego is finer and can go through these elements. So the more subtle the body, the more powerful, and gross matter does not exist for the subtle. They go through it. So if we get our original spiritual body, matter does not exist for us. That it is only imaginary in that sense. It's a temporary covering, and because we identify with the body, we are encaged in it. And that's therefore the body is called Maya, illusion. And it's a point with, there are many deep points here that, and going to the Bhagavatam will help us to discover and go deeper. Shyamananda Prabhu, please.
Thank you, Maharaj. Can we say that the material creation is illusory also, or imaginary because it is Mahavishnu's dream, ultimately Krishna's dream, and the dream of the conditioned souls?
There are some philosophers, Western philosophers, who say that the world exists only in our mind. It's just imagination. But that's not our philosophy. Not at all. Our philosophy, it's real, but it's temporary. And that's our philosophy. It's real, but it's temporary. It's a temporary form. But when we identify with temporary forms, that's called illusion. But the material world is not just illusion, it's real, but it's temporary and it's always changing. It's not valuable. So that is, yes. But we can also understand that, like, I'm always touched by that example, which is given also in Nectar of Devotion, that when you dream, and in your dream you are eating halava, and you are tasting the halava in your dream. And then you wake up, and you cook, and you prepare halava, and you eat it with your senses. The experience in the mind is the same. And Krishna calls this experience in the mind manogatan, invention of the mind. It's interesting also that so Krishna consciousness means changing our consciousness, see what's valuable, what's temporary, and change our consciousness and direct us and start to see the valuable, which is the spiritual. And therefore Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, makes it clear in so many verses, we are not a doer. He's doing everything in this world, so you can see Krishna at every moment doing things in this world. But that requires a training and a change of consciousness. Yes, thank you. Shivam Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranam. Please accept my humble. Maharaj, my question is that here it is mentioned about Vishwaroop and Virat Roop, and then it is written that they are imaginary. So since they are imaginary, why they are mentioned in second canto and also in Bhagavad Gita?
We have heard different reasons for that. The reason we heard in Srila Prabhupada's purpose, the first reason was, it is to give the impersonalist an object of meditation. They don't believe in God. Let them accept the universe as God and meditate on it. So that's the first thing. that to give them an object of meditation. The second reason is, and it's a very similar reason in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna did not ask Krishna to please show me your universal form because he did not need it. That he didn't want to see this horrible form, he says later. It's not for him. It's to convince others that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he showed this universal form. But even if one sees this universal form, Duryodhana saw also Krishna showing his universal form. But he was thinking, oh, Krishna, he has some mystic power. That's all. Yes, he lifted a pebble on his left pinky. That minimized everything. So yes, it requires some mercy to understand this, but these were reasons. Yes, give an object of the impersonalist, of an object of meditation, then at least they are meditating on a form of the Lord and they will become purified. And also to show that if some incarnations come in the future and they ask, oh, and they say that they are God, then you can ask them, oh, you are God, please show me your universal form. That is a good criteria to look whether they are God or not. So these are a few reasons. There are probably more reasons. That's what I can remember.
Yes, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you. Mother, Loka Pavani, please.
Hare Krishna. I have a question. Can you please tell me, because I didn't hear very well, this verse 28, is it called Parabhasya or Paribas Sutra verse? And so if you can tell me once more so that I know. And I was wondering, was it the acharyas who said that this is the verse, like an emperor verse, and that the whole philosophy has to be looked through that verse? So I was just wondering a little bit if you can tell me about that, because I don't know much. So
the Paribas Sutra, I think I wrote, I read a few commentaries, but thirdly, Shiva Goswami, in his Sat-Sandarbhas, he comments extensively on this verse, and he called it the Emperor verse, the verse to which all other verses of the Bhagavatam must be understood. Because Shiva Goswami, in his Sat-Sandarbhas, first he establishes that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this verse is very important in this regard. So this is the Paribas Sutra. There's a sutra. We said Paribas Sutra is a sutra that through which all other verses must be seen. That it is also the essence of the Bhagavatam in one verse. If we speak about essence, that's a Paribas Sutra. It gives also the essence. It defines who is the absolute truth. So we said also 1 to 11 is also Paribas Sutra. that Vedanti tattva vidas tattvam jnanamatvam brahmet paramatmati bhagavan iti sapyate, because it also defines the absolute truth, but it does not say who is the absolute truth. That so this is, yes, a very important verse of the Bhagavatam. Yeah.
And
Please.
what does it mean, Paribasya?
Paribasya, that I don't know. Para means above. That Basya, yeah, a verse that is above all others. That Basya, what's the meaning? You can see in the database here, if we can find it. Database. Paribasya. Basya. Let's see. Yeah, it's also, it means verse probably. It's at the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, means the most important sutra from the Brahma, from the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Sutra Bhashya, that speaks also about Vedanta Bhashya, the Govinda Bhashya, which was Baladev Vidyabhushan who wrote book Govinda Bhashya. Bhashya in that, here it means spoken by Govinda. That so Paribasya, if it's spoken by, then it's the same as Mahavakya. We said Mahavakya, the most important statement. That most important statement. That it's Bhashya. Bhashya means also explanation. Mayavadi Bhashya, the explanation of Mayavadi philosophy. That yes, and that's the Sariraka Bhashya written by Sankaracharya, from Sankaracharya, so Sankara Bhashya. That, yeah, there are probably a number of synonyms, but I think you will get an idea by this what it means. That yeah, the most important statement, the most important thing what has been spoken. That Pari means supreme. Yeah. Does that help? Thank you. Good. Vaidhyanatha Prabhu, please.
Yes, about Lord Buddha. I mean, we once in a while we run into Buddhists, and there is this verse 1:3:24.
Yeah.
It says here he will appear as the son of Anjana in the province of Gaya. So there's some interesting comments, because he was actually raised by his mother, by his grandmother, who was a member of the Anjana dynasty. But his own mother was somebody else. And then Lumbini was the place of his appearance, as we hear from history, but he got enlightenment as in Gaya. So it seems he became avatar of Lord Vishnu in Gaya, where he got enlightenment, and this is mentioned in this verse. But then also in our tradition, there are some statements that this verse doesn't refer to the historical Buddha, but that the historical Buddha was a disciple of a Buddha who appeared much earlier, and this the historical Buddha turned everything topsy-turvy with that particular philosophy. But as far as we read Srila Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada always refers to the historical Buddha, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting. I heard that before about these two Buddhas, different Buddhas that appeared. But yes, interesting comment. I have nothing to say further about it. My knowledge does not.
No, I have a few documents on that written even by members of the Gaudiya Math, important acharyas.
Yeah.
But as far as Prabhupada, he always says that this Buddha is the historical
It's
Buddha.
a historical Buddha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an authoritative statement by Srila Prabhupada, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Ratan Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, regarding the incarnation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incarnation is not mentioned now, Maharaj. He said his hidden incarnation is called as Channa Avatar. So where in Srimad Bhagavatam it's mentioned, Maharaj?
That
any reference, Maharaj?
Yeah, there is a verse in the 7th canto in the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsimhadev. You will find it in that chapter. I don't know exact verse, but in that purport, Srila Prabhupada dedicates the whole purport to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how Prahlad Maharaj is speaking here about Lord Chaitanya. And then the verse of the 11th canto, which is always quoted about Lord Chaitanya, is 11.532. Krishna Varnant Visakrishnam Sangopangastra Sparshanam Zakhir Sangartanarpayar Yanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of God, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, it's golden, is Krishna himself, and is accompanied by all his associates, servants, and confidential companions. That's clearly Lord Chaitanya. And then we have in the 12th chapter, 12th canto, that there it said 12.351. Kali doshni dera janasti koman kuna Krishna kirtanya eva Krishnasya mukta sangaparam vajat. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is a notion of false, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So this is indirectly relating to Lord Chaitanya.
So it's 12.351. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then you have the last verse of the Bhagavatam, 12.13.23. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Savapapanashnam Panamodukasamasthanamami Harim Param. For my respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of those holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering. So that Lord Hari is also Lord Chaitanya. So these are a few, but the verse on this from the 7th canto is also very clearly directed toward Lord Chaitanya. Very interesting. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So Rajesh Vargavanga Prabhuji, please.
Maharaj, here it's mentioned that Lord Buddha created faith in the mass of people, but also mentioned about Narad Muni and Varahadev. So how Narad Muni and Varaha also created the faith in the mass of people. I understood about the Buddha in Kali Yuga he appeared, but how about Narad and Varaha? So how they have created faith in the mass of people? So this is the first question, and second question. The 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam discussed in every canto. So, am I not wrong that that is discussed in every chapter also, the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam? So, if it is so, so then how it is related to chapter 2? And then chapter 2, how the 10 topics are discussed. So, could you please relate to this, Maharaj?
Yeah, let's go back to the first question you asked. That what was the first question again you asked? That
Maharaj, how Narad Muni and
Narada
Varahadev.
Muni and Varadev, yeah. So Narada Muni, we will hear in the Bhagavatam, he will preach to the Haryasvas, that 10,000 sons of Daksha, and they will have so much faith in their role, in Narada's words, that they all renounced and all became sannyasis at once. Must be a good preacher to do that. 10,000. And then he did the same with their brothers, the Sasyalasvas, thousands. But Narada Muni is one of the most powerful preachers, and he will also, if we will hear a lot of Narada Muni, and his faith has affected Rupa Maharaj, has affected Prahlad Maharaj. It will also affect us. Very strong preacher. That so he was empowered for that. And Lord Varadev, all the demigods they saw when Lord Varadev appeared, then is killing this demon, which is harassing them, all of them, for so long time. That so that gave them great faith in the Supreme Lord, that he came to protect them, that has suddenly, given them faith that the Lord can take any form, that he can do whatever he wants. That so this is aspects from many incarnations, but all the great sages who were praying to Varadev, they became very happy and their faith increased. So yes, that's it is interesting that in the purport Srila Prabhupada select these opulences for these incarnations, which may not be directly obvious for us, but he sees that in the and it's true that so that we can observe this in different incarnations. Can you repeat your second question again?
How 10 topics are discussed in every chapter or every canto, like in chapter 2, how it is discussed, the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam.
In chapter 2, some of the topics are discussed. Why do you think that all the topics are discussed in the so this, I don't know why, because I have a whole seminar on that point. Why do we find these topics, these different topics in the Bhagavatam? But we'll see. If we look at these 10 topics, we find these 10 topics at the end of the second chapter, second canto, I mean, second canto. Then there. Atra sarvasarasya stanam poshamuttayamam vantasa sanukata niroda muktir ashraya. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 divisions of statements are regarding the following: the creation of the universe. The creation is explained in the second canto and again in the third canto. There we will find the creation. And then the Visarya, the sub-creation of Brahma, especially in the third canto. The planetary systems that we find during the creation, but also especially in the fifth canto. Protection by the Lord is all over the place. So protecting Prahlad, protecting Bali Maharaj also. That's protecting Gajendra. So many. That's all over the place. So protection by the Lord, creative impetus. Yes, this utti, the desire. Yeah, we see that in many pastimes. The change of manus. These manus are discussed from chapter 5 till 9, chapter 4 till 9. All these manus and the pastimes within this manus. And in the eighth canto you have a whole chapter about the manus and their functions, how they are appointed, everything is there. The signs of God, yeah, that's explained everywhere in the Bhagavatam, especially in the second chapter, I would say, that of the first canto. Returning home, back to Godhead. Yes, that is a topic. That's the purpose. Krishna wants us back to Godhead. And that's the whole point with Maharaj Pariksit. He hears the Bhagavatam and he goes back to Godhead. He gets liberation. Yeah. And the summum bonum, that is Krishna. Krishna, wherever Krishna is discussed directly, that's the summum bonum. That's the purpose of everything. So this are all over the Bhagavatam. Summum bonum, especially in the 10th canto, 11th canto also. That especially the 10th canto. But we are also in the first canto
So Maharaj, so all these 10 topics are not discussed in every canto, right?
No, but you find them all over the Bhagavatam, but in certain cantos, it's especially focused on certain of these topics. But mostly the other topics are also there somewhere or another. Yes, but these are 10 topics, and these 10 topics, they are when they are discussed in a Purana, then it's called a Mahapurana. A Mahapurana must discuss these 10 topics. You have 18 Mahapuranas, 6 for those in ignorance, 6 for those in passion, 6 for those in goodness. And among these 6 in goodness, one is for pure goodness. That's the Bhagavatam for the Paramahamsas. That's that these topics you find everywhere, but some certain cantos are focused more on a specific one. So then, thank you. Mother Lila Madhuri, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, sorry, Maharaj, we had been hearing that innumerable incarnations are there of Krishna, but why is there any reason that only for these 22 incarnations which are explained in Bhagavatam? That is one question. The next question is from where do we get this Dashavatar concept? Because that has been very famous. While preaching also, it will lot of questions will come about this because
Yeah, Dasa Avatar. The Dasa Avatar. Yeah, Dasa Avatar. So your first question was about, because I was meditating on the second question. I lost the first one.
the first one, is there any specific reason to discuss only about these particular
Okay,
incarnations?
Yeah, no, it's just
Random.
it seems that because it speaks about the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and so on, that it seems to be a chronology that Sutta Goswami gives. That why gives that chronology? Did he appear in that order? Could be. I don't know that, but in the Bhagavatam it's mentioned in this verse. Yes, there are innumerable. So Sutta Goswami says, "I gave you only a few, a few," but all these that he mentioned, because why does he mention these? Because Sutta Goswami had listened from Sukadev Goswami before. He heard before from Sukadev Goswami together with Maharaj Pariksit, and Sukadev Goswami had discussed all these incarnations, and therefore he mentioned these now because they will be discussed later in the Bhagavatam. That is certainly a reason why he mentioned this now, all these incarnations. That so in that sense, yeah. It is innumerable. He said, I gave you only a few, but he gives this few which will specifically will discussed later in the Bhagavatam. About your question, second question, this Das Avatar concept, it could be that it comes from Jayadev, Das Avatar, that I don't know that where, but it became certainly famous that this Das Avatar after the Gita Govinda, that but yeah, where does it come from? That I don't know why this then, but I think Srila Prabhupada certainly say something about it. Das Avatar. I don't find it in the database. Das Avatar. Let's see. Just let's see. Just trying to see in the database if there is any further. Srila Prabhupada refers to, speaks about the Das Avatar. Then no reference in the database. Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay, Maharaj.
Ajahn Prabhu, something else?
Maharaj, regarding the avatar, I actually looked up in Vedabase, and see it's the introduction to Jayadev Goswami's Geet Govinda. That's what it says.
Yeah.
So, can we say that the 10 avatars mentioned in the Dasavatar Stotra are they Leela avatars for this day of Brahma?
They are Leela
like
avatars,
we have Meena, like we have fish and boar and fish,
yeah,
then we have Kurma, boar, Narsiha, right? Vaman, then Parshuram, Ram, Balaram, Krishna. Krishna, actually, another interesting thing I want to say, this is something I learned the last few years ago. I always used to wonder, there was no mention of Krishna as one of the 10 avatars. I said, what happened? Krishna is one of the 10 avatars mentioned in it. Because it has Balaram, Keshava, Haladhara Rupa, Jayadekti Hare, then after Balaram is Buddha, and then Kalki. So I actually have this question all the time. Once I ran into a conversation with Prabhupada. Somebody asked this question to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, how come there's no Krishna in it? And Prabhupada said, what? He says, Keshava Dhrita, Narahari Rupa. Krishna has taken this.
Every verse is
every single one is actually, so then I realized these 10 stanzas are actually glorifying Krishna. It's saying, Krishna, you took form of Meena, you took form of Kurma. Krishna, you became Narsiha. So it's a prarthana to Krishna that he has taken these avatars.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
But it seems Dasavatar is always related to Gita Govinda, so that's always what I've known. But whether it is, it has another source or not, I don't know. So when I don't know, I say I don't know. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ajahn Prabhu, please.
No, I just talked about Maharaj.
Thank you.
There's one more thing I wanted to say about Narad Muni. Is in our movement itself, we had a couple of instances where Narad Muni, Prabhupada and interaction with devotees, where presence of Narad Muni was observed. Like once in London, you all say in Lilamrita it is mentioned. And it's a similar, what happened is in Berkeley Temple in California. Jagannath Swami Prabhu, who was the president, he mentioned to me that he was standing, this was the Bhaktivedanta Institute, the room where Via is. He said, we were standing right here with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada mentioned Narad Muni was there with him, right there in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, in the Bhaktivedanta Manor, you have still these 2 seats at the side, still today, because at certain time the kirtan became very ecstatic, so ecstatic, everyone was in tears, and then after the kirtan, they said, Prabhupada, it's what happened, and Prabhupada said, did you not see? Brahma and Narada were here. You should make seats. You should make seats at every side of the altar. You make a seat for them, and these 2 seats are there, right and left of the altar, until today. Of course, Srila Prabhupada could see them. We cannot, but that's.
Which temple that is, Maharaj? Which temple?
So temple. That was it at the old place, not the place where they were now. That the first place, bury place they call it, not in so.
Bury place temple.
Yeah. Good.
Not Bhaktivedanta Manor.
No, that was so street that happened.
I see.
Yeah. Good.
Thank
Well,
you.
Berkeley, the bury place. I mean, yeah. but it's the same temple it's moved to. So that good. Thank you very much. Then we
Thank you very
continue
much.
tomorrow and we finish this chapter on Krishna, the source of all incarnations. Thank you very much. Jai Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada. Thank you.